Hey, so this review is late, so for all zero of you who care, you're probably wondering why. That's mainly because, just stuff, really. Like, I had to take a personal day off for my mental health and whatnot, so that kind of limited it and pushed it back. And also, I just felt sick recently, like a few days ago, and still healing, still recovering, but yeah, that's kind of why this one's late. So, for all zero of you who care, there's your answer. Enough preamble. I don't know if you can hear this or whatnot, but yeah, let's get on to the review.
Hi there, and welcome to Yearly Reviews, a show where I go through all the games that I played through the year of 2020 1 week at a time. So without further ado, let's see what we're reviewing this week. So let's talk about Cyberpunk in games for a bit. Cyberpunk has kind of taken a boom in recent years, especially used in settings for games, and they can allow for discussion of topics such as the fault of capitalism or transhumanism and such. Now, Cyberpunk is certainly not a new thing. It's been used since the late 80s or early 90s depending on where they do research, and video games are not the only form of media to use Cyberpunk in their stories. But there are a lot of video games that do have a Cyberpunk backdrop, which can either be integral to the plot, like a game such as State of Mind, or just a quirky little backdrop like in Valhalla. Oh, and there's also Cyberpunk 2077, but yeah, that's a can of worms. Another game that uses Cyberpunk is the game that we'll review today, 2064 Read Only Memories. In this game, we play as a person who doesn't have a name, so let's repeat a reoccurring joke that nobody's paid any attention to and just call them Darren again. Darren is living in Neo San Francisco in the year 2064, where a lot has changed in not just technology but society as well, as there are people who blend their DNA together with animals, making them essentially hybrids, or what they're really called, complicated furries. One day, our protagonist wakes up and encounters a little robot named Turing, who was created by an engineer friend of his. Turing alerts our protagonist that his friend has gone missing, and together they search for him, but they later uncover what's really going on behind the scenes of Neo San Francisco. 2064 is certainly interesting. It's a sort of adventure, text-based narrative that's a visual novel. 2064 is a very interesting visual novel, at least in the way its layout is presented, as it sort of reminds me of old text-based adventure games back in the 90s. The cyberpunk backdrop and the setting of this game allow it to create an identity from the vast amount of cyberpunk-centric games that has its own very own culture to it, which makes it fun to witness. Speaking of fun, most of the characters are pretty entertaining, from their designs to their dialogue, such as the hybrids you encounter, some random citizens, such as this absolute unit, and of course, the Holy Lord himself, that is, Starfucker. However, I felt that some characters weren't all that interesting, even some which you're supposed to care about and are integral to the story, like the character of Jess, who comes across as cynical in the game, but just ends up being annoying to listen to when you actually play it. Another character I didn't like, and this might be controversial because some may think it's the best thing about the game, is Turing. He's meant to be a companion to our main character and to be cute, but I just felt nothing with his character. I didn't really care for him, and I kind of thought his voice was a bit annoying, which is weird because he's voiced by Melissa Hutchinson, who you may know as Clementine in the Walking Dead games. Aside from that, I felt that the game didn't do well with its pacing. There's a lot of interesting ideas it presents, but are pushed off to one side as quickly as they're introduced with no care to flesh those ideas out. But 2064 Read Only Memories more than makes up for it with its charm and style. I mean, after all, one of the most notable characters is named Starfucker after all. While it doesn't flesh out its cyberpunk future setting and backdrop to its full potential, 2064 is a fun little visual novel to play through with a futuristic feel. The story itself has a lot of mysteries to uncover in Neo San Francisco, and a lot of fun characters to interact with who the voice actors do a superb job with, even with characters that I don't really like. It has flaws, which I said only about 30 to 40 seconds ago if you're impatient. 2064, however, is really fun to play through, and if you're up for it and like Cyberpunk, give it a try. How this relates to Spooktober, I don't really know. Thanks for sticking to the end of this review. If you like what you saw here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys making comments on these videos. They make up my day and I read every single one of them. If you like what you saw here, feel free to look at the newest review and look at the latest review. And if you want to watch more, feel free to hit that bell so you know when a new review drops. See ya, and thanks for watching.